Hello, Sambazaji. Over the last 2 weeks, it has been a more tumultuous week. As you have noticed, a lot has been happening in the country in terms of Kenyans in the diaspora and also Kenyans who are here um, have been witnessing things that have been happening back at home. This is regarding the Gen Z moment that we're having. Um, I call it the Gen Z moment because you understand that they are the young people who are coming out and requesting for, actually not requesting, demanding for their rights as what is subscribed in the Constitution of Kenya. Now, we as adults, the older generation, are standing by them, especially the diaspora. I had the pleasure of organizing two events with the diaspora. Now, Kenyans Living Phony came up with the idea with Angie, and we had Jedida, Mumbi, and is Naomi. And those are the people who we started off in the chat, and within 24 hours, we set up a group called Voices of Diaspora. Um, Once we did the setup, we were able to get to invite people to come up there. I think the first meeting, the first meeting we had the pleasure of Mr. Wajakoya, who attended the first meeting, and he gave us a great speech, and we did a walk around, and also we had got to see a few more people who came up, and we had conversations. Um, we organized the next um, protest march the next weekend. This time, we had a bigger following and a bigger crowd, and this was owing to what we had started before. Um, what I can say about the second one as opposed to the first one was that it was kind of very emotional because one of the parties that came had a cousin that died the off of the protest that people went into the parliament. And it turns out to be actually he was one of the oldest guys in the whole um, scenario or the whole protest that actually lost their lives. We're calling them heroes right now. So you're looking at an age range from 39 all the way down to 22, I think 90, no, 8 years old, because there's a boy who was 8 years old that died from that. Now, we created Voices of Diaspora to kind of give out our ideas and talk about what has happened. And also, it gives us a place, a safe space to vent and kind of kind of get to know what is going on from the Kenyan perspective in the diaspora. Because as we look at it, people say, "Oh, we're in a diaspora, nothing affects you." Yes, it does, because we have families, we have loved ones who actually probably did go out to 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 march. Now I'm thinking my ideas. I'm just rambling on right now. That's why it just sounds like as if I'm talking out of nowhere. I don't have a script. I'm just talking, just like freestyling, if you want to call it that way. Um, Something interesting my sister told me is that she gets scared of having the riots or when it got bad because it reminds her of Mpeketoni, because that's where she lived and she witnessed one of the most horrible sins that you'd ever want, that you'd never want to see in your life. And I can imagine there's some people who were actually mentally disturbed because of that, and their mental health took a toll on them. Why I say this is because most people think about people who don't show up for a protest or to the march or out there is because that they don't want to be on the front lines or they are scared. No, people do have past traumatic issues that may invoke some emotions in them that may force them not to show up at such occasions. So when you're going out and when you see somebody not there, kindly take a look back or step back and try to figure out what reason it is that they're not going out with you. See, you may have the strength to go out there because you never have witnessed anything traumatic. And even When the Gen Zs happened to talk to the president, there was this conversation where a guy was there when the gentleman was shot right next to him and passed on. And he told the president in his face, well, through X, that that is the most traumatic experience that he'll ever experience from the day of that. Now, this is an innocent mind that has been touched or has been changed for the rest of their lives. So we have to bear in mind all that. Why am I talking about mental health? Because we've already talked about mental health before on my podcast that I have been doing as a collaborative with Jen, which is Walk by Accident, and the Sambaza Podcast. Let me throw in the plug. Every Wednesday, we are there between 8 to 9. Um, that was one of the aspects that I wanted to let people be aware of when it comes to the protests and the marches that are going on and that are going to be going on. So give grace to your next day person. I like whatever is going on. I like the conversations that we're having. Voices of Diaspora is going to work from the diaspora going back home. What we're asking for is accountability, good governance, and policies with accountability. Because guess what? You have to have good governance. That means the right people who are there. Good policies. That means without the right people, you're not going to create good policies. And then if you have good policies, you always back that up with accountability. Because when it comes to account, you'll account for the policies that are there, which were created by good governance and the good people that you will be able to elect. Shout outs to the diaspora for fighting for all the people in the diaspora to be able to vote. I think we're going to have to come up in great big numbers this time to fulfill the promises that we have. It's a challenge to us from the kids or the Gen Zs that we have been lacking. And yes, we have been lacking. We need to come out in great numbers, even if it means you traveling all the way to Kenya. Make that trip to go and vote. Practice, exercise your right. Okay, this is a practice that you have to do. When you do it one time, somebody else is watching you. There could be a kid that's out there, or your kids are watching you, and you're doing your civil duty. So if they're watching you doing your civil duty, then they're going to say, okay, my parents did this, and therefore I am going to be doing this as well. So we have to practice our civil duty. It is all right. It's free, but somebody had to pay the price for it for you to have done it. So bear that in mind whenever you go out to vote, especially if you are out in Kenya. In the diaspora, it's kind of different, but it still makes a lot of sense. Now, you're looking at two things here. Maybe one day I'll come and break it off from where we're going to talk about the diaspora, and then we're going to talk about what is happening on the Kenyan side, because there was a fight for you to be able to vote. And as a diaspora and also an immigrant, there are different angles and ways of looking at it. So, other than that, I'm going to say thank you so much to the Gen Zs for taking over the fight. Thank you for the Voices of Diaspora for making it a safe space for people to talk about our policies, politics, and everything in a sane and accommodating way. And at this point in time, we're not looking at tribe, ethnicity, color, race, or anything like that. All we're looking at is what can you provide for us as a person or as an elected official. So, wasambazaji, asanteni sana, and let's look forward to these small 10-minute conversations. All right. Have a good day, wasambazaji.